No worries.
Welcome our audience, and we're here at the CAAA Convention, January 2022 in beautiful Rancho Mirage. My name is Dan Mora, and I have Jordan Gaytan here. Hey Jordan, how's it going, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, it was nice to talk to you, and you made some waves for yourself in doing that thing yesterday.
Did I?
I think so. I think that you're kind of like the talk of the town right
Oh
now.
man, I am honored. That's really exciting to hear.
Well, that's really cool that you get to be on the panel. You get to talk about these things. So I'm curious, has from your notes and getting prepared for. Well, you got to tell us a little bit about yourself. Why don't we start there?
Oh, where to begin?
Where you practice out of?
Well, I practice out of Arash Law. It's a personal injury law firm, but we also have a small catastrophic workers' compensation department. Traditionally, I was a workers' compensation attorney. I only practice catastrophic workers' compensation. And before that, I was actually a defense attorney.
Okay.
So
you look way too young to have that much experience.
Yeah, it's pretty funny because I have had conversations with people in my same law school class, and we're about 10 years in now. And yeah, people say that they say, "Hey, like, aren't you like 25 or something like that?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, actually, add 10 years and you're a little bit more close.
Good genes.
I guess so. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
So, did defense comp, and then you went to catastrophic applicant work. Is that how it went?
Yeah, so I started at a University of San Diego. They have like an amazing program there. Kind of got in there through like a scholarship program for people of color, which was a kind of a new thing.
Oh wow!
At that school at that time, there's this amazing admissions director there that was kind of trying to intentionally diversify their student body, and so I really liked his message, and that's kind of why I chose to go to that school.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I've been really lucky that every single other firm that I ended up at was very, very intentional about diversity initiatives. And so I've just kind of carried that with every single step of my legal career, and that's kind of why I'm here today, is because I wanted to speak on it at CAAA as well.
Gotcha.
I changed over from defense. I had this amazing opportunity with a really large, prominent PI firm to switch over to applicants work, which I had done defense for about 8 years. Kind of paid my dues, learned the ways of the litigators, and then decided that that isn't really where my heart lied. That I wanted to represent injured workers because at the end of the day, I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and you got a little lay of the land too. You got some inside information to
I know
use.
a secret or two about how claims adjusters and insurance works.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. Yeah. So you did. Which firm was that you did? You started in applicant work.
It was Zapata Alder Law.
Oh, okay, great.
So that was my first applicants firm.
Okay.
Mike Alder and Gina Zapata, wonderful attorneys. They gave me this opportunity to start their firm, and I started there. And then shortly after that, about a year and a half in, I had this incredible opportunity. I went to TBI Med Legal.
Okay.
And I was kind of working with some of the most cutting-edge workers' comp attorneys that presented there: John Hernandez, Tina Eschke, Dane Gilliam. I saw Alan Gervey speak, and I was just inspired by these people. And I thought, wow, these are some people that I want to learn from. I haven't been super involved in CAAA because of the pandemic, and these are people doing the type of practice that I want to do, and they're super hands-on and very aggressive, very knowledgeable, and I want to learn from them. So,
yeah. So that led you to this contest. We had a contest yesterday here.
Yeah.
Like a late session.
A game show contest.
Yeah, it was like a game show / contest, but the idea was to get a diversified group of folks to speak about something that a 3-minute limit or some three
and a half
30?
minutes. Yeah,
okay.
3.5 minutes. I saw the advertisement or the email for it on a CAAA listserv or one of the mailers, and I immediately thought, I have to do this.
Gotcha.
It was so interesting that they had this format, and I guess Alan put together, so I have to give him the credit. This format where you could talk about anything that you wanted to, and I was so used to going to these presentations or even doing these presentations when I was on defense side that were like kind of the same thing, over and over, like, hey, let's talk about this topic. Let's talk about, kind of just a more similar, repetitive subject matter. And I was like, damn, this is cool. Like, I can talk about anything I want to.
That's pretty cool.
And it's in front of some of these just, excuse my French, but badass judges, right?
Yeah.
Like the toughest, and smartest, attorneys in CAAA, right? People that I've known for a long time and respected for a long time. Diana Spragna, Elliot Berkowitz, So these are people that, I worked on defense side and learned from, right? So I was like, I just got to get out there and say my piece. I don't care,
Good for you.
Like who I'm saying it in front of. I just need to say this because it's something that I kind of feel in my heart, and it needs to be said to kind of help everyone, get a little bit of perspective.
Obviously that was validated, right?
Thank you. Yeah. I was terrified. I was literally terrified.
So though, this starts with you have a drive for the opportunity shows up. I could talk about whatever I want, and it gets you thinking about, well, what do I want to talk about?
Right.
So how'd that transition to you, and how'd you kind of go through the process of, okay, what do I need to, what's most important? Why did you pick those things as the most important thing, or the most important things to be talking about?
So Tina and I work next to each other, right? We have offices next to each other.
Okay.
We work hand in hand on every single case.
Okay.
We strategize over every case. Sometimes we go to hearings together. So our practice is very tight-knit.
Gotcha.
So I walk in her office and I say, hey, I think I'm going to do CAAA's Got Talent.
Okay.
And her immediate reaction is like, why would you do that? You're crazy. She's like, you're absolutely crazy. Like, that is insane. And I say, yeah, but I feel like I have to do this. And she's like, what are you even going to present on?
Yeah.
And I didn't hesitate for a second. Like, I knew exactly what I was going to talk about. I knew I was going to talk about diversity, because that's something that is very important to me and has been throughout my entire career. I knew I was going to talk about membership and recruiting and outreach.
Yeah.
And because I think we need to be very intentional about that as applicants, attorneys looking towards the future and what the future membership of CAAA is going to look like.
Yeah.
And then I knew that we needed to talk about legislation.
Yeah.
And, I'll tell you the truth. I just spoke to a very prominent workers' compensation attorney in LA moments ago, 15 minutes ago. He was right here at the booth. And we were in on the kind of general assembly for CAAA. And, we heard some of the people speak about the legislation and the expectations for legislation. And he told me, and I agree with him, he told me, frankly, I was pretty disappointed. And I feel the same way because, we need strong legislatures, right? We need people in Sacramento pushing for injured workers because if they're not going to do it, nobody is.
Yeah.
And we're the forefront of that, right? We have the cases, we have the capacity, we have the resources. We need to push that forward with the people in Sacramento. And there was kind of this mention of, God, this rubbed me very, very the wrong way. There was this mention of workers' comp isn't sexy. I think they said workers' comp isn't sexy. And I was like, I don't agree with that at all.
Right. Yeah.
I think, and I mentioned this kind of in what I spoke about yesterday, I said, I don't believe that at all. I think that employment rights and
It's the wrong message.
Yeah, employee rights are like at the forefront of everyone's mind right now, especially with the pandemic and working from home and having more flexible careers for maternity leave, paternity leave, everyone, right?
Yeah.
And so employees, we call this thing the Great Resignation, right? So employees are resigning in record numbers, right? The support for the idea of unions is the highest that it's ever been in like 50 years.
Okay.
Right? And so people are out there and they want to hear about this stuff. It may not used to have been as important over the last, couple of decades, but it's getting very important again. And so we need to be out there spreading our message.
Yeah, and it's a common. I find it too in our industry. I think in every industry where the commoditization of the work it's tempting and easy to fall into. And I would kind of parallel that with what you're talking about. It's like if you just repeat that comp is less than, especially from people that you respect. I think that's just an awful way to it's the complete opposite way that you want to be portraying. We know it's out there. It's not that it's not out there. People have that perspective. There is that perspective, but we have to fight it, especially us in leadership positions. We have to tell people that injured worker rights they're critical. It's critical. It's not something small. If anybody, I don't know about you, but I've had, for example, a family member that's out of work, and I watched this family member almost lose their mind just from being out of work. So I agree.
It's so debilitating. It can change someone's life.
It does, yeah.
Actually what we talk about with our clients every day, and I think a question that I ask a lot of people, especially people on the other side, especially when I was on the other side as well, there'd be like an injured worker that would be working in a warehouse or, an agricultural laborer or, somebody that does like maintenance yard work. And I'd ask them, hey, have you ever done this before? Have you ever worked like an 8 to 12 hour shift in manual labor once in your life, right? Because I don't know, how you grew up or...
Yeah, I grew up having to work for...
Yeah. My parents had me mowing the lawn at like 8 years old, so...
Yeah, I grew up in a construction family.
Oh, okay, there you go. So
We
exactly.
did it all, man.
Yeah, and you're taught, you work hard, you pay your dues, right? And you clock in every day and you give your company your all, and then you clock out, right? And you're appreciative for that. But the law compensates you for the toll that it takes on your body. And if you have an injury, you should be paid for that.
Right. It's the law. It's just how it is. And
you shouldn't have to shoulder those costs yourself. It shouldn't come out of your own pocket.
Right.
But it does for so many people. If I told you the number of stories of people that are paying for injuries that they had at work on their own health insurance or out of their own pocket just because they didn't want to cause problems with their employer, you'd be shocked.
Yeah, that's sad stories, man.
It's terrible.
Sad, yeah. It really does change people's life. And I mean, to bring it around, I totally agree with that perspective. Like, especially people that we respect, we cannot minimize how important our work is. And it's not everybody, of course. It's just a few people that do that.
And that's why I love, you and what you're doing, because I think that Gemini is like taking such a different approach to workers' comp. It's more of like a comprehensive case as a whole look, and maximizing every benefit in that space and maximizing the way that it's handled from almost like a AI tech perspective. And that's what I love about it, because I do want to be changing the narrative. Right?
It's required.
I want our stories to be told about injured workers rather than, everyone making it seem like every case is, some sort of exaggeration or something like that, right?
Yeah. And that's the rhetoric from the other side as well. It's terrible. Everybody's a crook.
Exactly, right? And then we never tell the stories of like, hey, there was an employer that asked you to go to another state and then when you got in a car crash and like got a life-threatening injury, they denied that you were even working for them, right?
Yeah.
I see stuff like that all the time.
Yeah, or just the delay in benefit and somebody get much more injured,
Right.
That or die. I mean, there's probably tons of stories about that with just the slowness of the system.
I mean, I hate to say this, but I'm going to reveal a secret right now from the other side. One of the things that sometimes I would get is we would get emails, from the insurance saying, what's our reason to deny this?
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, don't even consider what injury happened. Don't even do an investigation. What's our reason for denying this, right? That happens a lot more than you think. And my point is we need to put that out in the open. Let's stop pretending that this doesn't exist.
Right. And then the legislative and the advocacy aspect of this. I couldn't agree with you more. Been around the industry for quite some time. And
yeah.
The energy, I think that is required, because I do actually have some experience. We've been, as a copy service organization, a coalition, we've been together now almost 3 years. And then in 2012 through 14, I head up the copy service organization, lobbying.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. So it requires an insane amount of energy. We're lobbying now for a fee schedule increase, and so it requires an insane amount of energy. And then you have to have, like we're talking about, the cheerleaders. You just have to. This is a great, huge organization, amazing, smart people. Those people have to be the front cheerleading.
Right. Yeah.
It's just required.
And that's what I'm trying to do.
Right. Well, and I think that it resonated.
Thanks.
For sure. Yeah.
Means a lot. Especially coming from you.
Well, vision is the thing, and I think, and you're compelled. You have this vision, and you see this can be better, and it can be better, right?
It can.
And everything can be better. But on the spectrum of things, we could be a lot better.
Totally.
We could be a lot better.
And we can be proud of ourselves too, right?
100%.
There's many different types of attorneys out there, and I have a lot of friends that maybe in the past had, if somebody asked them what kind of law do you practice, right? They'll be like, workers' compensation.
Right.
It's like a whisper, right? But now I say I practice workers' compensation, I litigate work injuries for injured workers, and I'm proud about it, because I think we need to be proud. I think we need to get our name out there and kind of project, this vision that you're talking about, right? There was talk inside about Lorena Gonzalez and all the great work that she's done for, workers' rights. She's moving on, to bigger things,
right.
which I'm ecstatic about, because I don't think that this is, the end of her political career. I think that
of course,
she, sky's the limit for her, and, I consider her a total role model as well, and I think that she's amazing. But what I would be asking is, all right, we had this amazing person, Lorena Gonzalez, right?
Right.
Who's the next person?
Yeah.
Who's going to take her role? Let's find people. Let's help them. Let's put our backing behind them, and let's get 3 Lorena Gonzalez's next time, Yeah. And then she'll still, put her hand back and help them. Right? And get them to the next level. That's how it works.
That's the power of a community.
Exactly.
We all pick each other up.
Yeah, we all support each other.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the legislative side of things.
It's tough.
I was talking to somebody at the Latino Comp holiday party, and said, I can't remember who it was, but the comment was, I don't think they're ready for a lobbyist. I was like, what? I mean, why not? Why the heck not?
What's holding us back?
Right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's get after it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll have to talk offline about that. So
Sounds
there's good stuff. Voters injured work is another topic when it comes to that. And I don't know how familiar you are with Voters Injured at Work and their history, but that was an amazing organization back that basically just kind of started to fall apart. But this was an organization of injured workers, Voters Injured at Work, organization of injured workers. The board was made up of injured workers. Their bylaws were required to have injured workers on the entire board, and sadly they just fizzled out. But as you were saying, I mean, the best way for us to advocate is the stories.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the best way to advocate.
100%.
I mean, people, they just think workers' compensation, but they don't think about how this affects people's lives.
Yeah.
That's how we attach it.
Yeah, I think the thing that pushed me over the edge to do the Cause Got Talent is I'm a big, do you know Ryan Holiday?
Yes,
Do
dude.
you?
Oh,
did we just become best friends?
we did, dude.
So,
I
Sorry.
was just reading him before the show, actually.
were you really?
Yeah, I've reread a couple of his books now.
Okay, so, excuse me, I'm gonna cough. Big Ryan Holiday fan. Courage is Calling.
I haven't read that yet.
Okay, so
I saw it's his newest.
I don't think I've finished it, but I love all his other books. Ego's the Enemy, Obstacles the Way.
Yep.
Courage is Calling is like, I don't know if it's new or not, but
I think it is.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's one of his newer ones, and his theory is when you get to that point where you feel like you need to make the jump, like where you kind of know you're in that position where you have to do it.
Yeah.
That's when you got to do it.
Yeah.
And the majority of people, like 90% of the people will back down from that point. Right?
Yeah.
Just because they think like it's too intimidating, I'm going to be too controversial. But what I love about his style is he has that like Robert Greene style. Did you read Robert Greene too?
I haven't read him.
Okay, so he has that Robert Greene style where he uses all these examples of like historical figures that have done it. And I was like, damn, like I can't leave like Cesar Chavez hanging, right? Like I can't like if they were here today, they would be like, you got to speak up. You can't be afraid of the consequences.
Yeah, I think about that a lot, and there's it's an age thing too. I mean, I know I've been perceived as young, and I started my company in my mid-20s.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And you're perceived as young, and you know that. I mean, you can feel it.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's I had I don't know. Call it one of my lifetime revelations, and it had to do with like responsibility. If I felt responsible for something, it's not you don't walk away from it. You don't turn your back on it. You face it.
Right.
And I mean that if you live by that, or if you look at examples of people that live by that, usually it doesn't go badly, unless you're doing something, like extreme sports or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't read that book yet. I'm interested.
You should.
Now. Yeah.
You should.
Have you read Stillness is the Key?
Yes.
That's literally my favorite right now.
One of my standbys.
It's so good. It's really good. Yeah. Let's talk about a little bit. So you talk about diversity and color and kind of how that's played out in your career. And tell me how does that work? Like, how would that actually work functionally within outreach, for example, to colleges?
Well, I think the reason that I brought that up is, one of the biggest names in workers' compensation is Robert Rasp, right? Judge in Los Angeles WCAB.
Right, you brought him up too.
Yeah,
I think.
So I saw randomly on LinkedIn him starting to do something. I don't know if he's still doing it. I'll have to ask him. But a class for workers' comp at Pepperdine Law.
Okay.
And I know that this has been done before because I have talked to some other applicants attorneys around the state and defense attorneys about how they do classes. And I thought, that's a great idea, right? Like, we need to have more on-campus outreach and like an intentional diversity program, because this is one of the questions that Diana asked me yesterday. She asked me, well, if we did something like that, do you think that you would have gone defense straight out of law school? And I said, no, I don't think I would have, because if I knew a little bit about workers' comp in law school, or knew that I would be helping injured workers, I would have immediately sided that way.
Right. Most attorneys, when you ask them why they started, I want to help people.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. You can have that idealism, and you can, have a good job. So But for me, I was just looking for a job at a law school. So, but I ended up at a great firm, and honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. But looking back and seeing the people that I know that are young people in high school and college, and where I would like to make improvements on my journey and give them opportunities that I didn't have, I think, let's do it, you know? Yeah. I don't see a reason as to why we shouldn't be in every law school.
Sure.
You know? So.
And how do you do that functionally, like with the diversity? Like that's something, you know, it's controversial slightly. It's almost, at least it's not controversial in California. Let's say that. But I think, you know, in people's psyche, they think, well, I want the best qualified. I want the most, I want the most qualified. Do I look for diversity first? Now, I'll tell you, I appreciate diversity and see it work.
Right.
You know, I see it work.
Yeah.
But then recruiting is a little bit different, and outreach is a little bit different, I think.
So the way that I would look at it is, what do you consider, or how do you define the term most qualified? Is it the person that gets the best grades?
That's a good point.
Because I can tell you that some of the people that get the best grades in law school, they're not even lawyers anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't know if grades or moot court or law review or big law job mean that you're the most qualified to represent any type of, you know, client in any area of practice, like family law or workers' comp or employment or anything, right? Yeah. So I would say that passion is like one of the most important aspects of competent representation, and having a vested interest or understanding somebody from their perspective.
Okay, I get it.
Is like one of the most important things.
I get it. Yeah.
Because when I talk to an injured worker and I'm able to tell them, listen, I have a relative that does your profession. Yeah. I came from your community. Right. I speak your language, or I know your culture. It makes that much of a difference. That's where true. That person tells me, I trust you. You know why? Because I know that you'll fight for me.
Sure.
Right? And people that don't have that stake or don't have that background or vested interest, they may not feel that way, right? And so I'm not limiting it to one community. I'm saying it needs to be every community, right? Like I saw something in the notes today for the General Assembly. Again, I'm going to bring it up. And it said, Kimberly Pryor brought up, who I love and is very outspoken on the listservs. And
Sure is.
I love that about her, though. Brought up LGBTQ and like having, you know, an approach to that as well, right? And I was like, why isn't this being talked about? And I don't even think it was mentioned once in the meeting. So not to fault anyone for it. There's like more important stuff on the agenda, I suppose, but let's talk about it. Like let's have an open conversation about it, you know, because it doesn't take much.
Yeah, I think that's I appreciate that. I really do. And you're right. In communities being represented is important. Yeah. And without conscious and proactive effort in engaging communities and having community representation, representatives. Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
We can't get comfortable with the status quo. Yeah. We have to push because that's what we do. We're advocates. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Amazing. Awesome. So about out of time, but I want to ask you to relay a positive injured worker story for us.
A positive injured worker story? Yeah. Oh, man, I have so many.
Okay.
Oh.
It's all about the stories.
Oh, okay. All right. It's like hard to pick just one, you know? Okay. I have one for our current firm, Arash Law. Tina and I guess I could talk about it. It is settled, but it's not everything's done yet. So I don't want to give away too much. But a migrant individual, undocumented, very undocumented. When I say this is about as undocumented that you can get, because he, doesn't have papers. He doesn't have papers in his country. His country of origin is in the middle of almost like a regime change.
Oh, wow.
So it's actually a Central American country, regime change. So it's difficult to get that going, right? Been in the United States for a long time, has worked in the United States for a long time, has contributed, done everything the right way, but just doesn't, have everything lined up on paper, right? So we settled his case recently. It was a huge, 7-figure amount, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to change his life.
Yeah.
At first, he thought that he was going to go back there, right? And the reason that he thought he was going to go back there was because of his daughters. He has 3 daughters. They were forced to separate. Their entire family was forced to separate after he lost, he got injured and couldn't support them over there anymore. This is going to bring them back together. And he told us he wanted to buy them a house over there.
Yeah.
But then he changed his mind and he said, actually, since you guys are helping me get all my paperwork in order and everything as well, I'm actually going to bring them all here.
Oh, cool.
He's bringing his whole family here.
Wow.
So it's going to completely change an entire family's life, right? This is going to make change for generations.
Sure.
And that's kind of what the American dream is all about.
Yeah.
Right? That's how it worked with my family. I had, one family come from Michoacan, Mexico, and the other come from Manila, the Philippines, right? So this is a country built on immigrants.
Right.
And to hear that story is super, that's why I do what I do.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a cool story. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Right on, man. Well, thank you for doing this. I really look forward to talking to you in the future.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Ryan Holiday. And we'll talk about
stoicism.
But I think vision is necessary. New vision, fresh eyes onto CAAA. And man, I'm really glad that you're probably not alone, but we need to find more.
And I know other ones too. And I'm so appreciative of all the people here at CAAA, that they're so welcoming.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mentors here. There's so much knowledge to be gained from the membership here. And so I want to bring other people in to, be those learners.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for having me.
Right on.
I appreciate
Hey,
it so
super
much.
fun, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
All right, buddy.